Wednesday, 1st of March 2023, respectively, as well as petitions, statements, and any other business scheduled by the SBC. Mr. Speaker, sir, in terms of legislative business, 13 bills are awaiting the second reading stage. 4 of these bills are scheduled in today's order paper, order number 9, 10, 11, and 12. Further, 3 bills are undergoing concurrence as contemplated under Article 110(3) of the Constitution. I urge the respective movers to be available in the chamber to move these bills for a smooth transition to the next stage. Aside from that, the business listed in the order paper for today and the one stated earlier for Tuesday, 28 February 2023, my office is following up on the Joint Committee report on Standing Committee on Finance and Budget of the Senate and the Departmental Committee on Finance, Planning and Trade of the National Assembly on the nominee of appointment to the position of Deputy Governor of Central Bank of Kenya. I take this opportunity to request the select committees to consider the matter within the stipulated timelines. Mr. Speaker, I must make a comment here that many of our committees seem not aware that under our own legislative provisions, parliamentary vetting policy and the rest, I'm seeing many of our committees pushing vetting and the approval of certain reports, Mr. Speaker, to the last day, which is not a very good way of working, Mr. Speaker. I hope many of our committees can be guided by their clerks and the technical office that is here, so that at least if you're supposed to do a vetting and complete the report, don't wait until the 14th day is when you're doing public hearings and you want members to read the report and members to approve on that particular day. It doesn't give a very good show for us. I hope the committee chairpersons that are here and members of Secretariat who are assisting our committees can help actually us out of that behavior that I see creeping into the Senate, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, members of the public continue to show confidence in the Senate by submitting petitions on diverse matters. Presently, there are 4 petitions before the Senate. One referred to the Standing Committee on Roads and Transport, Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights, and 2 committed to the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare. Appreciating that petitions are of great importance to the people and they give the Senate a basis for undertaking its constitutional roles, we must resist the temptation of converting petitions to full-blown inquiries that run for months on end. Mr. Speaker, and this is a very important point as well, that I want to urge colleague senators and chairpersons of the various committees that have petitions before them. Petitions is just to remind you or bring to your attention that there is a particular issue that as a Senate you need to look into. Many of the time, matters that are brought before us, it will need either the assistance of investigative agencies and such matters, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, I wish to challenge chairpersons and members of the various committees. 60 days as provided for by the standing orders is 60 days. I hope we can get to a point where when a Kenyan submits their petition before the Senate, that they know that in 60 days' time, a maximum of 60 days, they'll have a report before them and something to consider. I therefore urge committees to consider these petitions. I also urge the Larson Committee to take action on this matter where standing committees exceed stipulated timelines. I've said this on petitions, I've said this on public vetting as well, Mr. Speaker. With respect to statements, there have been numerous statements sought pursuant to Standing Order number 53 and a good number committed to committees for consideration pursuant to Standing Order number 52-3. I continue to urge respective committees to expedite the consideration of statements and table reports pursuant to the standing orders. Number 10, Mr. Speaker, over and above the statements and petitions under consideration, which have highlighted a number of issues affecting our constituents, I encourage senators and respective standing committees to identify and come up with the legislative interventions that will be converted into bills. On statements, Mr. Speaker, there's a comment that I'd wish to make, and I wish I could say this when we have majority of the senators. We are sworn in as, yes, we represent specific constituencies, but many times I see statements be presented before us that are of an extremely narrow nature, narrow in the sense that even on a problem that affects the entire country, a senator is only interested in saying, please let me have the answers only for a particular county. I think because This is the upper house, Mr. Speaker. On many occasions, actually, we have sworn to defend and protect the Constitution. We are senators of the Republic of Kenya. If you're presenting before the Senate a particular statement, Mr. Speaker, and you know that that particular problem or challenge that you want addressed affects more than one county, Mr. Speaker, there is no harm in seeking for the statement and perhaps drafting it in a better way that reflects your standing as a senator of the Republic of Kenya, as opposed to a particular county and saying, oh, I wish to know there's a chief in a particular region. You know, Mr. Speaker, we are slowly moving out of that habit. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I do recall that back in the day, in my very first days in the Senate, statements have really evolved. It was not unusual to find statements on people wanting a chief transferred, a sub-location which has done this or the other. You still find occasionally one or two members who would make that request, unless the matter is of great national importance and you feel that in your own way you cannot address it as a senator. That's a point that you bring a local matter to the floor of a Senate. Otherwise, most of the time, we borrow from the challenges that are in our specific county, but seek a solution that will solve the problem across the country. That's the attitude which I wish to request colleague senators to adopt, Mr. Speaker. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I take this opportunity to request for patience and understanding of all senators and the country as the Senate leadership engages to resolve on the matter of change in the minority party leadership. Let us look beyond our differences in service to the people of Kenya. I hope we can quickly put this matter to rest as we agreed during the leaders' meeting that we had this morning, Mr. Speaker. I thank you and hereby lay the statement of the table on the table of the Senate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.